Let's get you reading and understanding your child's epigenetic hair analysis report. So the kids page looks a little different than the adult pages. They're set up a little bit different, but we still have a summary page, report cards, things to avoid, our wheels, foods to prioritize, and the self-check section. Now, this here is what I mean by the summary page. There's 4 sections. We've got our wheel, our food restriction summary. Again, these are just for 4 months that we're going to be, 3 months, sorry. 3 months, we're going to be avoiding these. Then we have food additives. Now these, ideally you avoid them for life, but really focus on them for the next few months. And then we have our table of contents. So if we go, let's see, what did I miss? Yeah. So basically whenever we have a wheel, we want all our pieces ideally equal size. The one that's really, really big is your priority. You'll actually see the highlighted ones, they're numbered. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This scan is only going to show you your top 4, maybe 5 priorities, just so that we stay focused, stay working, don't get overwhelmed with information. The foods to avoid, these are not allergies. If your child has allergies, keep avoiding those. These are foods that right now are taking more energy from your system than they're giving you. Also, they're just kind of annoying your body right now. Think of kind of like a Christmas song. When Jingle Bells first comes on, you're like, oh, that's cute. After a few weeks of listening to it, you want that radio off like right away. Don't even start. That's what these foods are doing to your system. They're just driving it nuts right now. And when you're struggling to feel good, any kind of irritation that we can remove helps things balance out and be happier. Now, the first pages we're going to look at are our report card pages. The child's report has a bunch more pages than the adult one do. We now have a general well-being, a growth page, and a brain development, in addition to the immunity, gut, and cardiovascular pages. They all basically look and function the same way, though. We've got our sections down on the side here. Each section you go across has its own number score. And as you go down, all the points are added up to your total. Now, our top total here of 35 is the max that your body can comfortably handle. Once you start getting to double, triple, or even higher, we're heading towards what could very well eventually become an autoimmune disease. So we really want to bring these numbers down as far as possible. The most efficient way of doing that is look at the one that has the highest score. So for this one, it's antioxidants. We have 16 out of 62. Focusing on that section right there is going to drop this score the fastest, the quickest. And back to when they're highlighted up towards the top, that's when your body needs more. With the optimized growth, it's basically the whole way through highlighted. Same with the brain development. All of the highlighted ones you want more of. When we get to the immunity, gut, and cardiovascular, when we're into the bottom section, system supports, environmental stressors, resistance, and food restrictions, those are ones we want less of. So reduce these as much as you physically can, possibly can. So in the child's report, our next thing to look at is foods and additives to avoid. For kids, they're typically much more sensitive to digestive changes than adults are. So when we just eliminate these 2 stressors on their body, you're going to see some big changes. When we get our exposure and nutrient wheels, again, we want all the pieces of the pie the same size. Each of these pages will have a label across the top with its status, telling you if it's a priority, a consider, or an advisory. Again, just so you don't get overwhelmed and so you actually do the work, focus on the priorities. When you have the time and energy, look at the others, but definitely just stay with the priorities. Now, in these ones, the bigger the section, the more priority it is. When we get one like this that doesn't have anything highlighted, it's not a priority, but we can see this child has a lot of toxic metal exposure and a lot of radiation exposure going on. So you just want to look in your environment, and there are links on the page just before the food list that help you find where these are. Otherwise, Google is your friend. These kind of toxic exposures don't just come out of our bodies. We need to actually eat certain foods, do certain behaviors to help our bodies flush them out. You will be getting those if they show up on your report in a page coming up here. One other thing, when we're looking at exposure wheels, items that have an outline like this, it's not so much your child's been exposed. This child is very sensitive to exposure from these things. So everything you can do to minimize that exposure is obviously going to help. Then we get to our nutrient list. This really is, again, the key page of the whole thing. The more of these foods you get your child to eat, the happier their body is going to be. Again, unfortunately, it's not cross-linked to their avoid foods, so you're going to have to cross them off if you see them coming up on any of these nutrient sources. The nutrients on this list are very specific to your child, in priority order from top to bottom. The foods that those nutrients come from are a generic list that we need to cross off the ones to avoid. Again, we do want 2 full servings per day of each nutrient. Remember, when we circle any that come up a couple times, we can really help ourselves get a 2, 3, or 4 for 1 deal on that 1 serving of food. Gives us a whole bunch of nutrients. If you need to supplement strategically, with kids especially, it can be hard to find good quality kid supplements. So you might just find a good quality multivitamin to help cover a whole bunch and really just focus on foods. Now, for your child's toxic loads or the stressors, we do have 2 pages of specific foods that we can use to help them based on their exposure. For gut support, kids don't usually need a digestive enzyme or probiotics. Focus on the foods. And again, we wrap it all up with the self-checks. Now, these you might have to do for your child, depending on their age. Typically, this is a younger child doing this report, so you as the parent would be doing it. I will be sending you those emails. You can do it on my website with the online version, or if you prefer the print-off one, I have a link there to download just a 1-page printer-friendly one, or you can go to the emailed version of your report and print off those pages.